So how do you create a brand that truly represents who you are and the products you sell, as well as building a business that you can scale online? That is what this podcast will help you do. My name is Henry Kaminsky Jr., and welcome to the Brand Doctor Podcast.
Let me just make this statement loud and clear. Jersey's here, Jersey's here,
What is going on, everybody? Today's guest is simply amazing. Him and I have been crossing paths left and right over the past couple of years. It is my honor and privilege to have Rohan Sheth with us today. What is going on, my dude?
What's going on, Henry? I know we've crossed paths for years and just finally connected.
Where are you living these days?
I'm in Vancouver, Canada.
Oh, sweet. Nice. So real quick, for those folks who have no idea who Rohan is, let's give him the inside scoop, because you are quite the person to be listening to when it comes to building your brand online and digital marketing. God, listen, let me just shut up. I'll let you take it from here. So Let's get the inside scoop on Rohan.
Sweet. Yeah, I've been in the digital marketing world coming up on roughly 9+ years now. Started in the affiliate marketing world, transitioned to building an agency, and then eventually got into software, but now building an educational company at the same time. So today I run 3 companies. One's called GrowRev.com, which is the one that's behind me. We manage north of $40 to $50 million on average in paid advertising every single year. A lot of it in the expert space, working with brands like Graziosi or Russell Brunson from ClickFunnels and et cetera. We're working directly with them. I got a company called Direct Heroes that I co-founded and co-own, which is, if you're familiar with chatbots on Facebook, it's the very first chatbot for Instagram. I'm helping big brands there. We've got Vayner, we've got Cardone, we've got, you name the big experts in the space, and we're working with them there. And then the last but not least, I own an education company called digitalexpert.com, helping brands and experts get online and learn how to monetize their income, whether they have an offline business or they have an idea, and how to take that and scale that into a digital online business.
Sweet, dude. Listen, I'm so happy that you're with us here today, because my audience has been asking me for a while now to have somebody come on the show that knows the ins and outs of digital marketing online, specifically for personal brands. And the common question that I normally get, or what are the common mistakes that personal brands and, let's say, influencers or experts or thought leaders, coaches, consultants, what are the common mistakes people that are made when those types of folks are coming online and trying to scale and grow?
The biggest mistake that I see when the expert space of brands coming in is they make a lot of claims to what they can help somebody else do versus talking about their story. And if you understand marketing, number one is you want to tell your story, because you get the hero's journey from it, and you start to build a very, very strong foundation, affinity with your audience. Number two, the other issue is you run into things like policy issues that are behind us, which is what we've kind of been able to, at GrowRev, become one of the go-to companies now. And when you start making claims and saying how you as an expert can help somebody else versus telling a first-person story, that's how you start to get yourself in some serious trouble on Facebook or YouTube, et cetera, because they don't want to be talking about what when you're calling someone out for personal attributes. They want to be wanting to find out what you've done.
Love it. That is, I have to emphasize this, because one of the things that I've noticed is, especially on these websites for personal brands and experts and influencers, it's like there's a whole lot of fluff. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that that's what we're looking for. We're looking for, okay, who have you helped? Mm-hmm. What is the proof and testimony behind all of that? And do I believe it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's so important. So you run a lot of ad spend for, you mentioned, quite a few big names. What are some of the common hiccups that you have to go through? You mentioned policy issues. I know Facebook's changing every single day, so it's like, how the hell do you keep up? But is it simply the claims that they're trying to avoid, or are there other things? Like, I want to get into kind of the messaging and the what makes a great ad.
Yeah, so the biggest thing in the expert space of what makes it great at, and like let's just say, let's use some of the brands for example that we work with. You look at any of the guys that have started that we're working with. Let's use mastermind.com. We've got Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, Russell Brunson, three of the biggest names in my opinion in the expert information space probably out there right now. The messaging for them is always how they talk about their story on everything that they've gone through. And if you ever pay attention to any of them, I've studied Tony Robbins for I don't even know how long, learned from Dean Graziosi, learned from Russell Brunson, etc. It's always their story on this. What did they go through? What did they learn? Where are they on path? And why should you partner with them? It's always that simple. Like most people a lot of the new age experts come in and, they sort of flash their Lamborghinis or they sort of flash their cash flow, etc. And you don't get to a point where you build a very, very large expert based business. When you bring that, you end up attracting an audience from a side that is only going to be short-lived, and it's short-lived during a good economy. Look at where we're recording this podcast right now. We're recording this in the midst of a pretty seriously uncertain times, and the ones that are the most authentic from a personal brand are the ones that are going to be the leaders coming out of this and building a huge, huge, huge business. You want to be the one that comes across and says, "Hey, I've been in your shoes. Hey, I know exactly the pain points you're going to." That is the type of ads that win. You look at whether it's from a written copy perspective, or you look at it from whether you're shooting a video and you're talking about it. When you start to run traffic and you start to run ads, you want to be able to cast a wide enough net with one ad, but be more niche and targeted to who you want to speak to. But then you can start using that ad and kind of segregating it, getting granular, getting more of an audience, going international. And that's a big, big thing in today's day and age that we're starting to notice with some of the big brands. Like I look at from a psychological perspective, they're talking to one person, but they're talking to one person with a vast, vast net that's out there.
Okay. When is enough? Because I'm all for getting your story out there. That was one of the things Russell coached me on years ago when I was in his inner circle program. Right. He said, "Henry, you're an awesome designer, and you look at this site, blah blah blah, but you're nowhere to be found on it. You're just another design company, right? And like, how do I differentiate you from the next design company?" And he was like, "It's you, right?" So I went all in on telling my story, getting myself out there, but when is it enough? Like, when do people start to say, "All right, dude, enough about you. Tell me what you actually do for people"? Like, I think where's the middle?
The middle, it comes down to, obviously your story is what's going to attract them. Then you got to make a call to action. Hey, come join me on this, exclusive masterclass. Another big mistake, a lot of people that are going to be getting nailed for in the webinar space or in the expert space that we see right now, is they say there's a free masterclass or a free webinar. And Facebook specifically does not like the word free, because if you've got a payment gate at the end of it, where whether they sit through an hour or 2 hours worth of a webinar and you pitch them at the end of it, it's not free. So that's what a lot of these guys are making big, big mistakes and getting nailed on Facebook and deplatformed off of Facebook right now. The middle is, hey, come join me in this exclusive masterclass, and I'll dig deeper into, sharing my story with you and how I can help you achieve the results that I have. That's the middle ground. And then from there, you go from there through the next part of the process of showing them what you've gone through, whether it's a webinar, whether it's a sales letter, and then pushing them down and using your story, using your branding, using whatever you're going to teach them with it, and then push them into whatever you're going to sell them, whatever your offer is. You've got to make an offer at the end of the day. The reason someone resonates with you is because you've told your story properly. You've brought them through a journey, whether it's from an ad to a funnel, or like down a funnel. And obviously with your branding work that you've done, I'm sure you've designed tons and tons of beautiful looking funnels. And then eventually make them an offer, whether it's, hey, this is how I can help you. Now it's a point where it's like, you've seen what I've gone through. What I've gone through. You've seen the results that I've gotten for other people. Is it time for us to work together? And that's when you make that offer. And that's where, a lot of what we're seeing to transition on the agency side. We went from that whole pretty flashy clientele, where it's like a lot of the clientele, and it worked, and it works. The flashy marketing works in a really, really good economy. But now we're starting to go to, hey, the conversation is, how can you win in an uncertain time? Before a lot of the claims are let's make 6 figures, let's make 7 figures, et cetera. Now it's like, let's make an extra $500. Let's make an extra $1,000 a month, because that's a huge difference.
Yeah. That I'm starting to see that too. A lot of the high ticket opportunities right now during the current, I had to make huge adjustments because I'm not cheap. And so one of the things that we're trying to do is be flexible with our terms and come out with, modified offers that will still deliver a shit ton of value, but it's not 15,000. It's not 25,000. It's 7,500. You know, I'm noticing like the 5K, $7,500 mark is digestible during these times. I'm starting to see a lot of people move forward with like the funnel sprint just came out a couple of days ago. A lot of people getting enrolled in that because of how affordable it is at the moment. Because like everybody who feels confident spending that kind of money with such uncertainty ahead. We totally get it. So meeting your clients where they're at is ideal. There was a question that I had. I don't want it to leave me. Oh, one of the things that I start to see now, I see a lot of people running ads this way, and I'm wondering how effective is it, and how could what makes it effective is they're running testimonials as ads.
Yep.
And I'm seeing like dozens of them from one influencer going out there at one time. Is that overkill where you have 7 or 8 different ads of different testimonials running at the same time? Are people going to start scratching their head going, all right, dude, you're trying too hard? Or no, that's the right thing to do, and you should be leading with testimony and social proof with your digital marketing?
I don't ever, any of the traffic that we run, I don't think any of our clients, we run front end, top of funnel ads with testimonials. What we usually end up doing is we want to build a story. We want to build a relationship with our story first. And then from there, once, let's say they haven't converted or they haven't opted in, but now you've been pixeled, that's when we start running the social proof testimonials. We start running the results-based testimonials, et cetera. And at that point in time, now when you look at it from a marketing perspective, and the way I look at a lot of things is I'm looking at it from a broad perspective. If someone has clicked on an ad but not signed up, or clicked on an ad but not bought from you, there's something missing. What is that something? A lot of the times it's like they just don't believe it. And, everybody's fair. And I'm there, you've been there, where it's like, this is just too good to be true. And during those times when they feel like it's too good to be true, that's when you want to start feeding them, more content. You want to start feeding them more testimonials, more social proof, more results. And it works really, really well. We were running funnels for a long time where it's like, if they didn't opt in, we were hitting them with the carousel ads, and they were all 7 different testimonials or 5 different testimonials. And they were different testimonials reaching different demographics, because you never know if, you're watching a young 30-year-old person, or you're watching a young 21-year-old person, or you someone that's 65 and older. You want to find that resonation factor, and then you have that across the board. And as long as as long as you're not lying about it and being authentic, it works extremely well.
I love it. So let's go back to the front end offer for a second, and let's talk about that. Let's break that down a little bit. So again, huge proponent of putting your story out there and letting people know who you are, what you do, why you do it, and the backstory to why you're doing what you're doing, right? What are some key elements that go into that story that are important to have versus just going out there and like, I've seen people miss the mark here with their origin story and putting their story out there, right? What are the 3 or 4 elements that need to go into that story for it to hook, for it to catch, for it to make an impact on the audience?
The 3 to 4, like right now, if you asked me this a year ago, I'd say something a little bit different. But right now, what we're doing a lot is, even with a lot of our clients, so given COVID situation, and I'm going to kind of explain this based on, because this is the number one thought in everybody's head. We've had clients that were charging somewhere between, like you said earlier, $7,500, $15,000, $50,000 packages, and a lot of them had a freak out in the middle of March. And I realized, is like, why did they freak out 2 weeks after COVID, but the first 2 weeks they didn't? And one thing that made me realize is they noticed that consumer buying behavior changed, but consumer behavior on how they were buying didn't change. They just wanted more education. And that's kind of what we did. So with one of our clients who runs a real estate investment education opportunity, and what we ended up doing with him was we said, hey, you're not selling your consulting package anymore. You're giving away a 12-week masterclass for free, and you're saying that you're not selling it for the next 12 weeks. And that's exactly what we done. And when we built that entire story of him, and he never ever came out ever through this entire time of telling his story. He got kicked out from another country. His family almost got beaten up, left, came into where he lives now in the current country that he lives in. He never told that entire story. We went out and restructured his entire brand, telling that front end story. And we gave away all of this content and build such strong, authentic affinity. The number one thing that I want to get people to understand based on the question you asked is the key thing right now that you need to be focusing on is authenticity 100%. Because if you aren't authentic in what you are doing, you are going to lose. And since we did that transition in the middle of March with the client that I'm talking about, he's had more people directly email him asking for his opportunity to invest with them than even before any of the leads we ran, because we casted this huge net of authenticity and even a wider net of people that he could talk to and reach. Because before we were just going after, the doctors and the miners, et cetera, that made these high 6-figure incomes. But now people just want to know, and how can they learn from him? And he's becoming one of the top leaders in a down and uncertain economy. Business has not changed. You had to step back for 2 to 3 weeks, and now it's right back on par.
Wow. So lead with value, open up the course for free, let them know that it's going to be free for the next X amount of time. Oh, I love that. And to the point of authenticity, it's funny. People ask me, I have a client right now who, is a little, he's a perfectionist, and it takes him an hour to put together a 60-second video clip on Instagram, right? And he's, what are people going to think of it? Blah, blah, blah. I am so comfortable in front of the camera, and I'm so comfortable going out there and pitching offers in an IG live or a Facebook live, something like this, because I literally go out there and say, hey guys, I'm practicing this webinar. We're going to practice it right now, and it make even sound a little too authentic, but I'm going to give this a shot. I'm going to open up my slide deck in a couple seconds, and we're going to get into this. Right. And it just eliminates all the tension that I used to have. Like, cause I would be two different people. Like if me on an IG live or a Facebook live, it would be bros, just like, right. But if I were on an IG live or a Facebook live and I had a slide deck in front of me and I was actually doing like a little mini webinar of some sort, I would be a different person. Like you could tell, you can hear and sort of feel the anxiousness, right? Yeah. So I just want to share with people exactly that, like, and use myself as the example. Like, just go out there and tell people, like, listen, we're coming out with a new offer because of COVID. We still want to provide value. We still want to help you guys. This is the best case scenario that we came up with, and this is how it's going down. When you do that, it's like you're talking to thousands of friends that you truly care about versus thousands of people that you're trying to sell.
Absolutely. And if you do that on the front end and you say, hey, I'm doing this because you can't use terms like COVID or coronavirus or anything like that right now on Facebook, but he's like, I'm doing this to help you during these uncertain times. People can sense that authenticity.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. And it feels like an overused term to us. Like, I can't speak for you, but for me, when I hear people say, well, just be authentic and just be transparent, I'm like, all right, I get that. What does that mean? Right. Yeah. So I think we need to dive a little bit deeper into authenticity there and share with people what authenticity really is in a digital marketing context.
Authenticity in a digital marketing context, the way I look at it is share the things that you would be uncomfortable sharing. Like, for example, a lot of the times for the last few years on podcasts and stuff, when I've jumped on, I've not really shared my early years of, grew up in a very wealthy family, parents left all of that, moved in what would you consider the ghetto in Vancouver, and then eventually built up what I have today. A lot of the times when I got interviewed on podcasts is, hey, Rohan, what have you done in the digital world? How do you have all of this experience? It was all focused to a linear side. And I went and said throughout the last couple of weeks, and over anytime I bring on a podcast, people want to know more and more deeper about the story. It's like, I just open the curtains and I go, this is me. This is where I've done. This is what I've screwed up on. These are my failures. And that way you build a lot more communication. Like even when I'm talking about IG lives, when I do IG stories now, so my IG stories are like, I just tell them everything. There's nothing that I don't tell them. And the reason being is just because that everybody's going through the same thing at a different point in their life. You went through it at some point. There's a reason to why they're following you. And especially if you're an expert-based business, you're ahead of them to a certain point. So it's like, give them what you wish you had when you were in their shoes.
I love it. So Facebook, somebody on Facebook is asking, how transparent do you be? That's a really good question. How is it just come down to a comfortability level?
Yeah, just get comfortable. You don't have to go right off the bat and tell your life story, but it's start opening, one chapter at a time, wherever you're comfortable with certain things, start kind of doing that. And once you get to that point, it's start opening up more and more, and the more transparent you get, the more comfortable you are. Because you also don't want to put yourself in a situation where you feel uncomfortable sharing too much right off the bat. So it's
I think the analogy that's coming to mind right now is like you're on a first date with a guy or a girl, and that person just literally dumps on you like their entire life story, and like you're sitting there and you're just like, it's like fire hose to the face, right? It as the recipient becomes very uncomfortable.
100%.
Because you're like, what the hell do I do with all of this? Yeah. Like we're on the first date.
You don't want to tell them everything, but it's the same thing. Like that's marketing. You're marketing yourself to, the guy or the girl that you're on the first date with. You're trying to sell them on why you need to date them for, or eventually try and get married to them, or whatever your end goal is with this person. But what you really want to aim for in that situation is aim for a point of, what do they need to know today? What do they need to know the next time? And that's kind of the stair stepping. And so, if you're obviously coming from Brunson stuff, he calls it the value ladder. It's like, how do you keep adding every step that you take with them? How much more value can you provide to them? And keep going and keep going and keep going. And then eventually open up the books. And then you just end up in a situation where now you've built so much authenticity that they feel like they know you more than even some of your friends or family know you, because you've shared so much with them that, that's how you build that tribe. That's how you build that buying audience, that no matter what you do, no matter where you go, they're always going to follow you. They're always going to buy from you.
Okay. I got two more questions because I value your time and I don't want to go too far over. So the first question that I have is, there's a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing out there. They put on a nice front. It looks like they know what they're doing. It looks like they've established themselves.
Yep.
Then you go in and it's nothing like that whatsoever, right? You actually make the transaction and they're flying by the seat of their pants. You're feeling uncomfortable. You don't feel like the trust is there anymore, right? So the reason why I ask this is there's a lot of personal brands out there that need folks like us to come in and help them and guide them. How do we help these folks choose the right person? Because it's funny, I just got off a client call today and it was coming down to me and somebody else, and somebody else looked really polished, but there was something missing that this person kept saying. And they were like, I just don't know what it is, right? There's something missing. Something isn't adding up. That's what they kept saying about this other person. And so I would love to get your insight to help our audience choose the right fits to help them grow their businesses.
So when choosing that, when you're looking to choose the right person to work with, I would probably suggest, and This is a hard one because you're not going to know unless you've gone down this road a couple of times. And like we've both been there. We've both bought stuff from people where you got burned, and then you bought something from like on the outside. You're like, this doesn't look right, but I kind of just want to test it out. The guy doesn't seem fully there, but he's like, there's something that makes sense, right? There's both sides in your head. He's like, it's over polished, and sometimes it's under polished. Where you're like, this kind of just makes sense. But if there's one thing that I'd probably suggest someone to do is ask for proof of results. If it's a big investment, is ask for proof of results, because if they don't have proof of results, you're going to spend anything north of $5,000, whether it's one time or per month or whatever that is, then you really need to make sure that they can talk their talk, walk their walk. And then if it really comes down to it, is just reach out to some of the people that they've worked with. I've done that in the past, where it's like, hey, you're asking me for $30,000 or $40,000, and I want to do that, but it's like, I want to have a chat with someone that you've actually delivered the results that you're telling me you're going to deliver the results to. Now, if it comes down to where you're spending a couple $100, it's like, you're in business a lot of the times, take the risk. And no matter what decision you make, even if it's a couple $100 and you lose it, you'll learn something, as long as you get one thing out of it. And if you didn't learn anything, you learn, guess what? I need to make a better decisive decision next time in choosing who I work with. That's what the couple $100 taught you. So like, that's the way I look at it. And both of us have probably burned through thousands of dollars over the years in business, kind of just making those good and bad decisions. But that's business. It's just making decisions and figuring out that some are going to be good, some are going to be bad.
Yeah. What's the lesson? What's the lesson learned here? Yeah. How could I not make the mistake the next time? I think, but not taking the risk at all is hurt. It will be damaging at the same time, because now you're stuck. You're still in the same spot you were yesterday, and you're frozen, right? So take the risk. But what I like to say is hire who you trust and trust who you hire.
Absolutely.
And ask the questions, lean into the discomfort. If there's something on your mind that doesn't feel right, like straight up ask them. Like I go right at my clients, and sometimes it's a little uncomfortable, but I don't mean it in a argumentative or aggressive way. Yeah. I just want to get to the core issue of what's holding them back or what their concerns are, because I want to make sure that we shed light onto that. So that was awesome advice. Yeah, definitely reach out to past clients and see how they felt about it, and just make sure that the credibility's there, because if something's missing, like if something just is not right, chances are you're right.
A lot of times your gut tells you exactly what you need to hear.
Right. Yeah. So here's my last question. We're going into the middle of 2020. It's an interesting time. How important is it for people to continue to invest in their personal brands and build that moving forward into this digital world that we're going into? Because now it's like, if you're not online, you don't exist, right? So how important is it for people to invest in their personal brands these days?
It's probably the number one thing that I usually tell people to focus on. And I had a call just this week with another client that had a very built company brand, but no personal brand. And I'm starting to notice this a lot over the last couple of years. A lot of people have focused over the personal brand. Like, you look at the reason we know of each other, and the reason we've known of each other over the past few years, is because we've had our personal brands. Yeah, we run companies at the same time, and our companies are well respected and built on, but none of it would have come out of it if it wasn't for the personal brand. The one thing that I tell a lot of my clients today is that your company brand may stick around. Your company brand may not stick around. You don't know what's going to happen, especially given current economic situations with COVID, and everybody in every part of the world is dealing with it differently. But it's like, you could take your personal brand and your story and everything that you've built, and then tribe around you into anything else that you decide to offer in the future. It doesn't matter. Today you can be selling branding. Next week you can be selling software. But now your personal brand will buy that no matter what, because they know, hey, Henry's been really, really damn good at branding in the past. He's built a successful company. It may not be everybody, but it'll be a segment of that entire audience that you'll end up actually converting, and they'll follow you no matter what.
Man, that is so good. That is so good. People buy people first. right? And then they're going to buy the service or product that you're offering. So it's so important to invest in that. And you could be working corporate and still be invested in your personal brand. So that we're not excluding those folks that have 9-to-5s here, because, you know, when you leave the room, whatever they say about you, like that's your personal brand. So you should be investing in that every single freaking day. Yeah. So I know you got a lot coming out soon. So we got a new podcast. Podcast coming out.
We got a new podcast coming out. Me and you are recording that Monday.
I'm excited. On
podcast. You got the podcast coming out. We've got we just put out an offer, uncertain times COVID related offer for experts in business, a digital expert, where we just gave away a ton of courses. And I reached into my network and I just kind of put together an academy of people that said, hey, are you struggling? And if you've been hit pretty heavily during these times, have this all for free. And it was like $15,000 worth of courses that we literally reached out to people and put it all together. So we've got that coming. And then,
where can people get that?
If they just go to my Instagram, which is Rohan Sheth, Rohan_Sheth, and then you DM me the word DEA. Just send me a DM, and you'll see. We'll get it sent to you, and you can opt into it. We're actually, and this is not some scarcity tactic, we've been running this for coming up on 5 weeks now. We will be turning it off as soon as we're starting to notice a lot of things open. So we're going to be taking it away probably early June. So if you're watching this post June, still DM me DEA and we'll just see what the offer is. But if you're watching this between now and June, go ahead and take access to the offer. And it's 100% free. We've given away our entire Digital Expert Foundation course. So you're learning our Facebook's, what we're doing to run massive amounts of volume and traffic there. We're giving away a PR course, but the lady that does all of my PR for me gets me on TV. LinkedIn cold outreach. If you don't have money to run Facebook ads and you've really been hit, how to really monetize off of LinkedIn. I built my entire brand and company off of LinkedIn. There's a new TikTok course on how to grow if you really want to grow in the social following world. We're doing a TikTok course. There's tons and tons and tons of value inside of there. Like there's just a few things that we're giving away, and then every week since then we've released new and more content, and we'll be releasing more and more content to everybody that has already opted into that offer.
What a great way to position yourself, right? That is fantastic, and I commend you on that, because a lot of folks tend to go the other way during these times. Let's lock it up.
Yeah.
And hunker down and wait for this thing to blow over. And here's Rohan going, we're opening up the doors.
Yeah.
Right. And what I commend you on that, man. It takes a lot of guts, because a lot of times they're like, oh man, like, right. But at the same time, you're so confident in what you do, which is super cool. So, all right, guys. So go check him out on Instagram right now, Rohan Sheth. And
Rohan_Sheth.
_Sheth. And is there any other websites or anything you want to promote before we jet?
If you want, just my website is rohansheth.io, first name, last name.io. And then the easiest place and the most convenient place for you to find me is going to be Instagram. And then that's where I'm the most active on. And then obviously, if you just search my name on YouTube, there's tons and tons of content from years of me putting out content there that you guys can go learn on building expert-based businesses.
Love it, dude. Rohan, thank you so much for coming on. Looking forward to coming on your show next week, man.
That's going to be sick.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome to connect, dude. So keep doing what you're doing, man. I'm a huge fan, and I admire your work, and you're a hard worker, man. And just know that it's being recognized.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Henry. Thanks for having me. And hopefully, all the people that are listening or watching, wherever this is, you take something and go implement it. Just take one thing and go implement it.
That's it. There you have it, guys.
All right.
Hope you got some value out of this one. I sure as hell did. So have an amazing day, guys, and I will catch you on the next episode real soon. Take care. Hey everyone, this is Henry Kaminsky Jr. again, and really quick, I want to invite you to a one-on-one consult with me right now if you're looking for the clarity and focus you need to build your brand. Over the past 13 years, I've served hundreds of entrepreneurs that have great products but struggled tremendously with articulating its value to their ideal customers. You didn't get into business to just change a few lives, did you? Your ideal clients need you. And when your brand has precision-crafted messaging coupled with beautifully thoughtful design that sounds, looks, and feels like you, they'll know you're the perfect match for them. If this is something you're struggling with, what I want you to do right now is pause this audio and go visit www.uniquedesigns with a Z at the end, not an S, .net, and book your one-on-one consult call with me. Remember, the quality of your brand will determine the quality of your clients, and the quality of your clients will determine the quality of your life.